Hello beautiful people, welcome to the first video in my series where we discuss and explore male related issues, and we're gonna kick things off today by talking about one of my favourite subjects, which is porn. So the reason I want to talk about porn is because I think the more I've talked about porn and the more I've kind of been online and explored certain communities online, particularly across platforms like Reddit, where you were getting more and more communities growing around this notion of becoming porn free and detaching themselves from pornography. And it's interesting when you go into these communities and you explore the issues that they face and the things that they talk about in relation to addiction and how porn's maybe affected their mental health and particularly their experiences in life and in sex and relationships because of porn. You kind of come to realise that there's a lot that we don't talk about or we're not warned about when we're growing up, and we should explore what these issues are and what the effects may be on our mindset and our outlook towards sex and relationships. So let's have a look. Oh, man. So I'm just going to go to my trusty little laptop here, which is my font of knowledge, as it is, I'm certain, for a lot of people. But I've just been kind of looking up porn in regards to where it starts and how people kind of access it and how it affects them and from what age. So I was looking at Bernardo's, who are a children's charity, and they've kind of done some research into pornography and how it affects children. And this is what the Bernardo's vice president has to say on the issue. Over the last decade or so, there's been a real explosion in the availability of online pornography and the mainstreaming of violent sex. Although much of this pornography is legal, exposure to this material can be extremely harmful to children. The government must ensure that age verification applies to all content that is harmful to children and that pornography sites are properly regulated. Children should not grow up seeing these images because it will affect them into adulthood, and as I always say, childhood lasts a lifetime. I can't help but agree with aspects of that because I grew up in a time where the internet was new and, you know, you're waiting for dial-up modem connections. You know that noise when it's like ding, 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 ding. World's greatest example of the internet. Like, even then, you know, porn was available, but not as we know it now. And even then it was surprising how easily accessible it was. And this day and age, the world is filled with avenues and sites and places you can go to watch porn. It is quite frightening when you think about it because the internet is a free space, and yes, certain households have child locks on the computers, but they're fairly easy to get around, and you know, it's so accessible. Even if you can't access, you know, it through the internet in your own home that maybe have locks, you know, you and your pals can access it. Basically, I'm not going to go through all the places you can access porn, even though there's a lot and I know where they are, but it's abundantly clear where you can go and watch it, and it is flipping easy to do so. Oh, man. So I just want to go back into how our views of sex are affected by our viewing of porn. And I was looking at a survey that was conducted for the BBC by a programme they kind of like put out. Within the survey that they did, these are some other statistics that they found out. 60% of young Brits watch porn in the last month. 55% of young Brits don't think sex in porn is depicted as loving and consensual. 51% of young Brits think porn focuses on male pleasure. 45% of young Brits say porn has been their main source of sex education. And 71% of young Brits say porn has given them ideas to try out in the bedroom. And I think the overarching thing for me is that 45% of young Brits say that porn is their main source of sex education, which to me is a kind of rallying cry for us to kind of look at how we receive sex education in schools and why 45% of people still assume that porn is their sex education compared to the education that we know we get in schools. What aren't the schools telling us? What aren't the schools doing for us to kind of assume that that's the education, that's the main reality focused education that we need? Why are they kind of going online and looking at that and thinking, no, this is the education I need? I learned more from watching porn on Pornhub than I did from being educated on sex in school. And just this notion that porn is a place to kind of get ideas, I completely get that. But at the same time, are these ideas that we're getting, are they consensual? Are they ideas born out of what we know women want to try? Are we readily having these conversations before we give them a go in the bedroom, is what I suppose I'm trying to say. Are we kind of sharing our ideas? Have we got this open dialogue? Or are people just going out there and just giving things a go and not kind of giving thought to the other person who's involved in the act? How are we going about kind of trying out and like exploring these ideas of sex? And the notion that 62% of young Brits watch porn in the last month, I understand. I watch porn quite often, but how much porn is too much porn? Do we know? Is there a number we can put on it? I don't think we do. But it's interesting once you kind of go into places like Reddit and you find communities where people are clearly struggling with issues related to porn. You then kind of start to go back and look at these statistics differently. So let's have a look at these online communities, shall we? Oh, man. So porn and its addictive nature. So this is a BBC article called "Is Porn Addiction a Real Thing?" And they spoke to Nicole Prouse, CEO of brain research company Liberos. And she kind of explored porn addiction and what that actually means. And she kind of researched this. And she says that in the case of porn addictions, the brain looks similar to other addictions, but only up to a point, and then it diverges. When you look at porn, you get increases in learning and reward, but you don't see some of the other hallmarks. In other addictions, such as gambling, when you see a cue for people who have a problem, the brain is more responsive. In case of porn, with people who say they have problems, their responsiveness is decreased. Prouse says the brain science means that porn is not addictive according to current models, and that treating it as an addiction can be counterproductive. Now, it's interesting that she says, from a scientific point of view, that porn isn't an addiction, yet you can go on places like Reddit where you have a huge variety and a huge community of men who are really struggling with what they call porn addiction. And I suppose you've kind of got to listen to science and also listen to the people who are going through it. And we've kind of got to form our own judgments, because at the end of the day, the overarching thing is that people have issues with porn and are struggling to kind of take themselves away from thinking about and absorbing and going onto porn sites and watching loads of bloody porn.
It's just porn, Mom. You're running away. You wouldn't believe what the kids see today.
So how do we help these people? And it's interesting when you go on these websites, and here's like a bit of research that I found, is a guy called Tom, and it's not his real name, but he's a teacher in the US Midwest, and he told on a trending post in the NoFap community, which is a site where people go to explore the notion of porn addiction and trying to get away from it. He said that you've probably heard the saying that porn is great but doesn't compare to the real thing. He says when you're addicted to porn, you feel the opposite. Sex is great but it doesn't compare to porn. You kind of, sometimes when you're having sex, you can't help but kind of think that I don't feel as aroused. I don't feel like this is what I want. It's not as loud. It's not as intense. It's not as heightened. And at the end of the day, porn is drama. Porn is a fantasy. And I'm sure there was porn out there that tries to kind of hone in on the reality and the real aspects of what sex is like. But porn is a fantasy. Porn is meant to heighten your emotions. And no wonder when it comes to, if you're kind of indulging in loads of porn when you're younger, and then you go to having sex for the first time and you grow and start to explore sex, no wonder some people's version of reality versus what they know from porn, they're going to feel let down. You know, like, they're going to think, God, why isn't she mourning to the high heavens? You know, why can't the neighbours hear her?
So yeah, we complained to the police and the council, but both of them said they couldn't do anything. Apparently it's not illegal to orgasm in your own home. How's that even possible?
But there's so many things that people do in porn that are there to kind of arouse you. They're there to kind of explore your taboo nature and your kinks and your desires. And when we don't get that in real life, I'm not bloody surprised that we're sat there thinking, this isn't the same, this isn't what I signed up for. You know, I want it to be a lot more intense, I want it to be like what I've seen online, and you're never going to get that. And even then, it's not to say that you can't get that, but are we even comfortable enough to kind of share the fact that we're having these struggles, we're having these issues? I don't think we are. Personally, I don't think we are.
Oh, man.
So what can we do about porn? And I think that we need to maybe have better education in school, definitely. We need to kind of look at sex education in school and, you know, rethink and reflect on, you know, is that good enough? Are we teaching kids at the right age? Do we need to teach kids maybe younger? Do we need to kind of talk about porn and explore porn and say and talk about the dangers of porn and how it can affect the realities of sex and, you know, the kind of thoughts and processes that kind of go into our viewpoints in relation to sex. You know, porn is a crazy world online. I mean, I know firsthand that, and I think a lot of us will probably relate to this. You'll go on and you'll click on one video and you'll be going at it, going to town on yourself, and you'll kind of think, nah, this isn't doing it, I'll click on that one. Same again, nah, that's not really doing it, you click on that one. And before you know it, you spent 10 minutes clicking through, and before you know it, you're on some wild genre, and you've kind of ended up coming to this abomination of a video, and you're kind of like, how the hell have I got here? And you're kind of just sitting in your own shame, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, what a journey I've just been on there.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
And, you know, that is just a reflection of our viewing habits and our pornographic habits, is that you can't just click on one video, you don't watch it all the way through. You're constantly searching for something better, something more, something that's going to really give us a kick. And it's the fact that you're going on that journey that suggests that, you know, is porn not enough? Is one video not enough? What are we looking for? We're looking for the more exciting, something more taboo, something more extreme, because what we're viewing and what we're seeing isn't enough. Porn is no longer going to be enough. We want more experience because we're dulling our senses. We've seen what we've seen through years of pornographic experience, and we've gone on this ridiculous online journey. And, you know, sometimes I'll be bloody, you know, I could be there for 15 minutes and I get bored with myself because I'm like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to come. I don't think this is going to work for me. And I kind of think, God, how bad's that like not even porn's doing it for me anymore. I kind of just give up halfway through because I think even I'm getting bored of trying to masturbate. What is that about? And of course, it's porn. We need to talk about porn, and we need to understand that these are the issues that men and women are also facing, and we need to kind of explore and just unearth the dangers of what porn is doing to us. So let that be the end of this video. Please do comment and share and kind of let me know what you think about porn, and whether you think I've kind of hit on some views that you think are interesting, or whether or not you think I'm wrong. Let's just open up this discussion and explore what porn means to us, and if we need a healthier relationship with porn.